Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him if you're a longtime listener. He's the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah, and boy, do we have lots to talk about on another fusion edition of the ODPH. So you're going to get the best of sports, the best of entertainment, and all the topics in between, because quite frankly, every time January rolls around, it's kind of a little slow start, if you would.
Slow start. Not a lot going on.
Right. Everybody's kind of getting to the groove of the new year, and we're here to just give you the best of both worlds. And that's why we put it all in one episode for you. So we want to keep that conversation rolling after the show. So, Pad, where do we head on over to?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing on over to the website. Check out the TeePublic Store link. Check out the Patreon link. Shout out to all our amazing patrons. One tier, $2 a month. Boom. Can't make it simpler. The social media accounts are all right there, updated and ready to rock and roll. The blog section, which always has new reviews up left and right, so you always got to click on there and see. The directory. Pat, how many providers are we on?
190,000.
Sounds about right to me. That is why he is the statistician to the stars. Also, the classified section where you can find friends of the show, such as 3FM Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative. Holy smokes, there's a lot happening there. There is a lot happening there that I am not legally allowed to comment on.
Uh-oh.
So that's why you're going to have to just click on the links, make sure you're following everybody there, and stay tuned, because 2024, in a short amount of time, is already kicked into high gear, and there's a lot more coming there. Also, the music section where you can find friends of the show, such as Brian Wolff and the Howlers, Second Suitors, Shout at the Robots, Floodlands, Tom Jolu, the list goes on and on. Amazing musicians that are very gracious to give us their music to play, you know, without any hiccups, so to speak, with the legalities, if you will. So it's always great to support them, because we definitely endorse everybody that's on that page. And if it's anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. And always remember, if you're using the hashtags on the socials, use the hashtag ODPHpod. Kicking off this edition, we have come to the end of one road and start of another, if you will. It is the final week of the NFL, Week 18. Boy, does that sound weird saying. But yet here we are, the last week of locks and leaps, technically. But there's more to talk about at the end of the segment about that. So, Pat, let's kick off the recap of the week that was.
Yes, we'll start with my lock. I chose the Pittsburgh Steelers to defeat the Baltimore Ravens because, hey, Baltimore's got everything locked up they possibly could, so they'll be sitting all of their starters. So I figured, yeah, there's a pretty good shot Pittsburgh could pull this out, and they did, winning by the final score of 17-10. Mason Rudolph, 18 of 20 for 152 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Tyler Huntley got the start for Baltimore. He went 15 of 28 for 146 yards passing, just 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Gus Edwards led the way for Baltimore in rushing with 10 carries, 48 yards, no touchdowns. Najee Harris led the way for Pittsburgh with 26 carries, 112 yards rushing, just 1 touchdown. Deontay Johnson led the way for Pittsburgh in receiving with 4 catches, 89 yards, 1 touchdown. And Nelson Aguilar led the way for Baltimore in receiving with 5 catches, 39 yards, and no touchdowns.
Well, I would say I'm not really surprised at this game, but I kind of was.
Okay.
We had known that Lamar Jackson, arguably the MVP of the league, was going to be sitting in this game.
Yep.
And Baltimore had nothing really to play for.
I think about the only thing they had to play for was, who the heck? It was one of their guys on defense. Oh, it was Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney needed 1 sack to hit like a, what was it, like a $250,000 bonus, $750,000 bonus? It was something in that range.
Right.
You know, and he got it, and he got his bonus. So that was about the only thing they had to play for.
Right.
So any other players, you know, snap percentages, you know, catches a year, like whatever you have in your contract that like, oh, I'm 5 away, 4 away, like whatever it was, that was about all they had.
That's all they had. And realistically, they had nothing to play for.
No. They got the number 1 seed. They got the division. They got a home field advantage through the playoffs. They got the first round bye. Like literally nothing.
Meanwhile, Pittsburgh had to come out and put on a show, and they had to really make a statement if they want to be taken seriously as playoff contenders. And I think if I'm looking at the score and trying to be impartial,
Sure.
I'm not impressed with what I saw with Pittsburgh.
It's really not. I mean, Mason Rudolph is okay. He's not the guy. You know, he'll keep you in games if he's on point. Najee Harris is hit or miss. You know, more often miss than hit. And then the receiving core is really nothing sexy. I mean, yeah, Deontay Johnson, fucking great game, 89 yards and a touchdown. But after that, it's off a proverbial cliff. Pat Freemuth, 2 for 21, no touchdowns. Najee Harris had 5 for 21, no touchdowns. Jalen Warren, 5 for 17 and no touchdowns. Connor Hayward, 2 for 4 and no touchdowns. Allen Robinson II, none for none with 1 target.
And George Pickens had nothing.
Yeah.
He's not even on the stat line.
Yep.
So, that being said, Pittsburgh's lucky they got away with beating Baltimore's second string.
By only a score.
Yeah. It's nothing to be celebrating except the fact they snuck in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, you fell ass backwards.
Yeah. Like, I would not be feeling confident if I'm Pittsburgh going in.
I mean, you've got a shot any given Sunday, any given Saturday. But, I mean, looking at who they're playing this upcoming week, they are playing...
They're at Buffalo.
They're playing Buffalo. So, good luck with that, folks.
Well, that's going to be the true test for them if they're really contenders. Can they match up with a Bills team that's playing ugly football but winning?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie about it, folks.
Yeah, we'll talk about Bills fans here in a bit.
We will talk about that in a bit. But I think the takeaway from this is Pittsburgh backed into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They're lucky they got in.
They needed a win and some help, and, well, they got help.
Mm-hmm. And I think that had a couple passes gone a little differently from Tyler Huntley, this game would have been Baltimore all day. Yeah. And that's the scary thing about this, that the Steelers did not come in and really impress me about this lineup going into the playoffs. I'm sorry.
Right.
If they weren't even facing Buffalo, if they were facing Miami, if they were facing Kansas City, I still would not be scared of this team.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be either.
So I think they have a very tough task ahead of them on Sunday against the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the Pittsburgh Steelers team of old, obviously, but I also mean that in the case of, like, yeah, they're bummed. Yeah, they got some bumps. Yeah, they got some bruises, and they're a little nicked, here and there. But there's still a chance they could, that Pittsburgh Steelers playoff, aura where they could come in and beat you. That they just don't have that.
No, they don't scare anybody. So this should be a pretty straightforward game with the Bills.
You would think.
But as any given Sunday, like you touched upon, there's a lot of different ways this can go. I think just Pittsburgh's lucky that fate was on their side with this one.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens with them moving forward.
Then we got to get to my leap, and the leap I chose was the Houston Texans defeating the Indianapolis Colts, which they did by the final score of 23-19. C.J. Stroud, 20 of 26, 264 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Gardner Minshew, 13 of 24 for 141 yards passing, no touchdowns or interceptions. Jonathan Taylor, 30 for 188 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Devin Singletary, 24 carries, 63 yards, just 1 touchdown. Nico Collins got 9 catches, 195 yards receiving on 1 touchdown. And for Indianapolis, it was Josh Downs going 3 catches, 48 yards, and no touchdowns.
Well, Houston has been the surprise of the season. So seeing them pull this off,
I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I'm very happy for them.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about this at all. I think this is something that this franchise desperately needed. C.J. Stroud is the rookie of the year.
Absolutely.
No question about it. They have got their franchise quarterback for years. And I think that he is going to be somebody that's going to draw in free agents to play. And this is nothing but win for them.
Barring some sort of like batshit insane, terrible injury, he's the dude.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I think now the only question that I would have if I am Indianapolis is, the last drive, I mean, you're literally a play away from making a run at this.
For like the second year in a row.
Yeah, and Gardner Minshew we know is not the guy. Obviously, they've had some injury problems this year.
Yeah.
But still, that situation, when Jonathan Taylor's running crazy, I think you got to put the ball in your playmaker's hands.
Yeah, no, I mean, you do. And it's terrible that Indy, found themselves again in this same scenario, which... Unless you saw the game, the one stat line that you would miss is in the receiving department. Michael Pittman Jr., 5 catches, 44 yards, no touchdowns. 6 targets. And that one drop pass was the crucial one that they absolutely needed.
Oh, absolutely. So that's what I said. In that situation, you got to put it in Taylor's hands.
Yeah.
It's a tough call. I mean, we can sit there outside looking in, but in this situation, the fact the game was this close, and you're facing a Houston team that literally played with nothing to lose. Like, they're not supposed to be here.
No, a lot of people figured them to be pretty bad this year.
But the fact that they have lucked into this position is really telling about how the culture is changing there.
Right.
And like I say, I'm not really throwing this all on Tyler Goodson, who dropped the pass.
Right.
Granted, it's a very tough call, but in this situation, if it's 4th and 1, why are you not giving the ball to Taylor?
Listen, I've never understood Indianapolis play calling since the Peyton Manning days. In the Peyton Manning days, where it was him and Tom Brady twice a year, made all the sense in the goddamn world, and he was like a brain surgeon, being so precise and with the cuts and the this and the that. Now it's like throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah, I mean, I know that he did get hurt and was out for a little bit of the second half.
Sure.
But still, if he is able to come back out for that final series, he can. You have to give him the ball for 1 yard.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no, like I say,
it's the equivalent of not giving it to Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, point blank. So Houston proved that they're ready for this. Indianapolis is going to be some plays away for a while, like I think, because they have to get some playmakers there.
Yeah, no, they do.
And I just don't see it happening.
We also got to give some flowers to C.J. Stroud, who finished the season with 4,108 yards passing, putting him 3rd all-time in the NFL for most passing yards in a rookie season. The only 2 folks he's behind, Justin Herbert in 2020, who had 4.3 thousand, and Andrew Luck in 2012, who had 4.4 thousand. So, pretty goddamn good company, because he's ahead of Cam Newton in 2011, Jameis Winston in 2015, Mac Jones in 2021, and Carson Wentz in 2016, among a whole host of others.
Yeah, Houston did very, very well for themselves. So, I have to give them all the credit in the world. Like we say, when we talked about the preseason show, did not have them doing this well, and obviously making the playoffs. That is a huge morale booster for a team that absolutely needed it. Tough task ahead of them with Cleveland this week, though.
Yeah.
But let's go to, I'm going to say this right now.
Wow.
The most disappointing performance of the weekend. And that is saying something. Because this team we all talked about was going to be making a run for the Super Bowl. And quite frankly, they have cooled off at the wrong time. They're falling apart. And this abysmal performance spoke volumes. I know it's division games, but it does not matter.
Oh, it shouldn't, and it shouldn't be this bad.
Right, let's talk about it, because, Philly.
So, of course, Ken chose the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the New York Football Giants, which they did not, losing by the final score of 27-10. Tyrod Taylor, 23 of 32 for 297 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Marcus Mariota got the start, for most of the snaps. He went 13 of 20 for 148 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jalen Hurts did see some game time, going 7 of 16 for 55 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. By the way, Tommy Cutlets got some time there, 2 of 2, 14 yards. For rushing, it was Kenneth Gainwell. He went for Philly with 7 carries, 62 yards, no touchdowns. For the Giants, it was Saquon Barkley going 18 carries, 46 yards, 2 touchdowns. For the Giants, receiving, it was Wan'Dale Robinson going 5 catches, 85 yards, no touchdowns, and then it was Quez Watkins leading the way for Philly, going 8 catches, 93 yards, and 1 touchdown. Notably, A.J. Brown, 1 catch, 9 yards on 1 target. Dallas Goedert, 1 catch, 4 yards on 3 targets. Julio Jones got 2 catches, 13 yards on 4 targets. And yeah, that's about all I'm missing there.
Well, I know Jalen Hurts got hurt.
Okay.
So
I was watching the Dallas game because I had more of a rooting interest in that game, specifically for Washington, so I did not know that.
No, his finger got messed up.
Oh, you know what? I did see that.
So, I mean, that's one element here. But,
yeah.
I mean, let's face it. The Giants are not a great team.
Nope.
Sorry, it's truth, folks. I'm not going to deny the honest take here. Like I say, they played awful football this year. So the fact that Philly, who should have came out of this game knowing the division, their division was on the line.
Yeah, had to win. It was not locked up. Your seeding was not locked up. Hell, you could have slipped to the number 3 seed with this, because I remember watching the Washington game that they brought the broadcast there, because I think Washington was on the Dallas game was on Fox. They even brought up like, hey, even if both teams lose, like the number 2 seed isn't a guarantee. They could slip to 3.
Yeah. This was just an awful performance.
Oh, from top to bottom.
On every level.
5 sacks from the Giants defense on Philly.
For a game you need for seeding. So, I mean, you had something to play for. The Giants didn't.
Yeah.
The only thing Giants players are doing for is bonuses and
morale.
And morale in some cases, and trying to showcase.
You finish the season with a win?
Yeah, and try showcasing where they can go next season if they don't want to be in New York.
Which is probably a few.
Well, I could imagine. I mean, Saquon Barkley is going to be one that we're going to have to watch because I think he's expecting to get franchised again, and that's going to end messy if that's the case. They should have just paid him instead of doing Daniel Jones.
And that tackle.
Yeah, I digress. But for Philly, who finished down the stretch 1-5.
Yep, started off 10-1 and finished 1-5.
I will say this right now: Philly does not scare me going into this playoffs.
Nope, and I have not seen a team that has been this dominant the last couple of years fall off a cliff like this. Because you look at some of their early seasons. Okay, they beat New England, they beat Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Washington, the Rams. Which that's like, hey, that's not bad. You start off 5-0, then you go into the Jets, you lose there. Oh, yikes! Not because that was week 6, so Aaron Rodgers was gone by that point. That wasn't against Rodgers. But then you get into the second half of the season after they had the bye week in week 10. Which hey, they rattled off wins against the Dolphins, Commanders, and Cowboys, so you had back-to-back division wins there. Then you beat Buffalo and Kansas City, but then you get shellacked by San Francisco like it's Mike Tyson in his prime. You lose to Dallas, you lose to Seattle. Yikes! You barely squeak out the win against the Giants. Sorry, I realize it was 33-25, but that should have been more.
Oh yeah,
and then you lose to the Cardinals and the Giants.
No, there's such a big disconnect. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if I'm an Eagles fan, I am very, very scared for the playoffs.
I'm nervous.
I would not be feeling confident at all.
They are playing Tampa Bay.
And I will tell you what, Tampa Bay is going to give them a run.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to fully say
Arizona gave them a run, and Arizona beat them.
Well, that's the whole thing right now is Philly has no excuses to make. And if Jalen Hurts is not 100%, it's going to be a very easy game.
Oh, yeah, it is. Marcus Mariota don't scare nobody.
No, and I think even him against Baker Mayfield, which would have been a great college matchup years ago.
Yeah, that would have.
Is not exactly screaming box office now.
Little Oregon-Oklahoma action there?
Yeah, but in this case, Philly has fallen apart at the worst time, and that's the scary thing.
Which is something you don't want.
No, you don't. And for a team that was built to win now, they have such a tough time putting it together, especially when you're losing. Like, now you have to make a run. Is it unheard of? No. But you need a lot of luck in your favor. And that's the situation that now that you drop to the 5th seed, you don't have the luxury of playing at home no matter where you go unless some freakish nonsense happens. But let's face it, at this stage, you're going to be one and done unless you can pull it together, because Tampa Bay is one of the most slept-on teams in the league, but they're finding a way to win with Baker.
Yeah.
So, really, this is going to be a test for them in the playoffs. But I'm already giving you a sense, like, if I had to put a percentage on it right now, I give them a 40% chance of winning.
The only way they make it out of this alive is if they get lucky, because if it stays stat quo, so Philly's the what do we say Philly is?
5th.
Philly's the 5. So you've got the 7 playing the 2 with you've got the Rams playing the Lions, which I think is 6-3. Yeah, correct. That's 6-3. And then you've got the Packers playing the Cowboys, which is 7-2. So unless LA or Green Bay wins, the Eagles, assuming they win, would go in to face San Francisco. But if LA or Green Bay wins, then it's whoever wins that one goes and faces San Fran.
Yeah.
But right now, I listen, Green Bay, love you to death. You've got amazing cheese. But I don't see them beating Dallas. It's in Dallas. We know how Dallas is at home this year. And then you've got the Rams going to Detroit, which I realize that's a great story. Stafford coming home after, everything he's done, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not forget, it's the first home game for Detroit in like 30 some odd years.
Yeah.
That place is going to be loud. There's no way the Rams are beating Detroit. So Philly right now is staring, down the lane. They're trying to peek ahead, see if they can pass a couple cars, and San Francisco's waiting ahead for them. And let's not forget what happened the last time.
Yeah. So Philadelphia, I wish you luck, but it's not looking good for you.
It's not.
In this upcoming playoffs. Then we get to the game that bittersweet, if you will.
Yeah.
Because this year, the worst division in all of football was the NFC South.
Yeah, it was.
And there really wasn't a lot to talk about there.
By a lot.
But right behind it was the AFC South,
Uh-huh.
in my opinion.
Yeah, no, both divisions very bad.
And one team that everybody has been talking about that maybe, just maybe, this is their year,
Uh-huh.
decided to also cool off at the worst possible time.
Just want to point out, you, myself, and Rich from the 3FN podcast all picked that team to win this division.
Mm-hmm. And that shows how badly they've been playing.
Yep.
Considering everything else going on in this division. The Jacksonville Jaguars lost at the worst possible time.
Winning they were in.
Mm-hmm. Against a team that, quite frankly, was already done.
Yep.
And this was just an epitome of Jacksonville every year.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get into the game.
Yeah, so the Tennessee Titans defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 28-20. Ryan Tannehill, 17-26 for 168 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, just 1 interception. Trevor Lawrence went 29 of 43 for 280 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Travis Etienne Jr. went 16 carries, 57 yards with no touchdowns. Derrick Henry led the way for Tennessee in rushing with 19 carries, 153 yards rushing, just 1 touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins led the way for Tennessee in receiving with 7 catches, 46 yards, 1 touchdown. And it was Calvin Ridley leading the way for Jacksonville, going 6 catches, 106 yards receiving, and just 1 touchdown.
So let us break this down. Jacksonville needed to win to get into the playoffs.
Jacksonville needed to win for like a month and couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, they did until the end of the month.
No, but they fell apart at the worst possible time.
No, they did, because they went into their Week 13 game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm looking at their schedule. No, I don't have all of this memorized. Mm-hmm. They went into their Week 13 home game, mind you, against the Cincinnati Bengals, which was a Monday night game, and it was the first Monday night game for Jacksonville in like a decade. Mm-hmm. And they lost 34-31 in overtime. And that's where the slide started, because they were 8-3 going into that game, so they lost 8-4. Lost to Cleveland 8-5. Lost to Baltimore 8-6. Lost to Tampa Bay 8-7. They beat Carolina, so they literally want their.
But is that even a win?
Nah, not really. So they beat Houston on Sunday, November 26th. They didn't get another win until Sunday, December 31st.
Yeah.
And then obviously they laid the goose egg against Tennessee.
And that's where this team really defines itself.
Yeah.
Every year it has so much potential. Trevor Lawrence was such a great college player, but yet struggles in the pros.
Oh, yeah.
And you can say whatever you want about the head coaching and all that. Doug Peterson is there.
Doug Peterson is pretty good.
Yeah. So this is the year they're supposed to make the turn finally.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be a serious contender. Travis Etienne played most of the season.
Had a phenomenal year.
Calvin Ridley had a resurgence. Evan Ingram showed up.
Much to the Giants' chagrin.
Right. And yet this is what we get in the most crucial game they could have played for the season at this point.
So pulling up some old stats here for the season, just to kind of give some context. You had Trevor Lawrence finish the regular season with 4,016 yards passing, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. For rushing, Travis Etienne Jr. cracked 1,000 yards, although admittedly by 8. 1,008 yards, 11 touchdowns. Calvin Ridley finished with 76 catches, 1,016 yards receiving with only 8 touchdowns. Evan Ingram, 114 catches, 963 yards receiving with only 4 touchdowns. And then you had Zay Jones, who's supposed to be their other guy who's supposed to be good, 34 catches, 321 yards receiving, and only 2 touchdowns. So clearly they've got no issue getting the ball out. You had one guy crack 1,000 yards rushing. You had one crack 1,000 yards receiving. One was within a sneeze of cracking 1,000 yards receiving. But they clearly can't find the back of the end zone, and also clearly their defense can't stop a leaky faucet.
Exactly. Derrick Henry had 153 yards, 1 touchdown, and arguably his final game with Tennessee.
Probably.
So that said, I mean, Jacksonville got exposed as pretenders.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Like at this stage, they had the chance to take a weak division.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Houston wound up taking it.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the game that on paper Jacksonville should have won outright. This should not have been as close as it was.
Like we said, this division is bad. I mean, the win percentage for this division, Houston Texans, 588. Jacksonville Jaguars, 529. Indianapolis Colts, 529. Tennessee Titans, 353.
Yeah. So the fact that Jacksonville dropped the ball here speaks volumes. They're going to need to go out in the free agent market and go get some players.
Good fucking luck.
But that's the whole thing. I don't know who you're going to entice to come there.
You can entice me all you want on like the no state income tax on the state of Florida has, but you could sell me if you're Miami. Mm-hmm. Like if you're Miami, I'm like yeah shit, I'll go to Miami. Sunny beaches and all the nightlife scene down there with no state income tax and the optimism the Dolphins got. Sure. You fucking try to sell me that shit and then go, oh, by the way, it's Jacksonville. I'm like, yeah, sorry, I'll stay where I'm at.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, they're going to need to make some moves this offseason. I just don't see them doing.
They're gonna have to do something because it's just not working.
Right, and as for Tennessee, we do know as we were hitting to record, Mike Vrabel has been relieved of his head coaching duties.
Correct.
I think he's going to wind up somewhere very quickly.
Probably by Super Bowl, I would say.
Oh, I think after.
If not soon.
I don't see them making any announcements during Super Bowl week. Usually the week in between.
Yeah.
That's where you hear about players retiring because they don't want to upstage the big
game.
game.
Right.
I think you'll hear something shortly thereafter.
Right.
And I think he's going to wind up in one of those big jobs, possibly with the Chargers.
Yeah.
I know everybody wants to say New England. Listen, until Belichick has announced he's moving, I'm not buying anything there.
And listen, if anything happens with New England, and I'm not saying it is, it's not going to be Belichick. Bill Belichick has been fired. It's going to be they've agreed to part ways.
Mm-hmm. I think a perfect place for Vrabel, though, honestly, would be Atlanta.
Atlanta wouldn't be bad.
You need somebody there that can fix culture down there. He is somebody that can fix culture.
Washington, maybe. Washington's got a vacancy there.
Washington is the wild card about head coaching because literally anybody could go there.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, if you make the move to go get Eric Bieniemy and you don't give him the head coaching job, there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a big problem there.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that goes. That's why I say Washington, I just can't see them taking anybody other than Bieniemy after we know Ron Rivera is not coming back now.
Right.
So we'll have to see. But Jacksonville, I mean, I think Peterson is still safe there.
On a very short leash.
But, I mean, with Jacksonville, it's like he turned this team around into a question mark instead of 2 question marks.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what they do in the offseason now. Because that's where they're going to be going with a lot of the teams that we're going to be talking about as we recap the final week that was. So, Pad, let's get into it.
So the Cincinnati Bengals defeated the Cleveland Browns 31-14.
Browns had nothing to play for.
Sat their starters.
Yep, so smart move by Cleveland. Not mad about this. They got Houston first week. That is going to be a sleeper game of the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Then you had the Detroit Lions defeat the Minnesota Vikings 30-20.
Well, Detroit, unfortunately, Sam Laporta got hurt in this game.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
We do hear he's day-to-day, so I fully sense he's going to show up for that game. There's no chance he's not going to play unless he physically cannot do it.
Right.
But, Minnesota, yet again, another team that coulda, woulda, shoulda, and we'll just have to wait to see. They have a very tough offseason ahead of them.
Yes, they do. Then you had the New Orleans Saints defeat the Atlanta Falcons 48-17.
So the only highlight, if you can call it this, is what happened at the end of the game. Because usually I always say, who is Atlanta?
What is Atlanta?
Atlanta is not going anywhere anytime soon. And obviously they made a head coaching decision as well.
Yep.
That's why I said Mike Vrabel would probably be the most perfect fit down there because you need somebody to come in there and really change culture. But the Saints made headlines for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And going for a touchdown as late as they did.
Yeah.
And with Jameis Winston,
of all people,
defying the head coach. And I agree with Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith. You have to cut him immediately.
Well, you might not have to worry about much. He's on a 1-year deal.
Right, but still. And the fact that they went completely against their head coach, the head coach has got to go too.
Oh, yeah.
I hate saying that. I'm not trying to wish anybody to lose their job by any stretch of the imagination. But when that nonsense happened, and if you are telling me that you allowed the players to completely override what you were saying.
That's some Aaron Rodgers type shit.
Yeah, that speaks some crazy volumes. And Dennis Allen, unfortunately, in that situation, has got to go. Like, I'm sorry, there really is not anything there that you can say he still has his team under control, because he doesn't.
No.
And I understand that they don't want to make a big issue about it right now.
You have to.
You have to address this completely and take care of it right away. Because
it's embarrassing for your organization.
Yeah, top to bottom. Like, the fact that your players just overrode you when you called victory formation.
Because you think about it, this team went from laughing stock for years to like the darlings of the NFL and the country after everything that happened with Hurricane Katrina and Sean Payton and Drew Brees and everything that they did in winning the Super Bowl, and just kind of the culture they built up of like, hey, they're not always going to win, but they're still a damn good organization to play for. And I'm not saying you've thrown it in the trash completely, but boy, you've got some dirt on it.
No, you completely lost the team. And now the fact that it's regressed as it has, you have to come in and make swift changes.
Oh, absolutely.
So if they don't do it this offseason, listen, they could possibly be the next Carolina next year. Just gonna put it out there, even with the talent they have on their team. The fact that this went down like this, bad look overall.
Yes. Then you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeat the Carolina Panthers 9-0.
In the most exciting game of the weekend.
That was like a fucking baseball score.
Yeah, nothing really to say about this one other than Baker did Baker things, and this was...
Shout out the Tampa Bay kicker, though.
Yeah. I mean,
Chase McLaughlin, 3 for 3 from field goals.
Yeah. But other than this, I mean, Tampa really didn't have to do too much other than just win.
Yeah.
So I just think they coasted because they knew Carolina has nothing behind them. So and Carolina is another team this offseason that needs a lot of work.
Yeah, they do. You had the Green Bay Packers defeat the Chicago Bears 17-9.
All they needed was love.
Yes, they did.
Jordan Love, listen, if he can make a run in these playoffs, I think Packers fans are going to be really excited. I don't know if he is going to be it. It's debatable.
Have you seen that matchup on Sunday?
Yeah, that's why I say I'm trying to be optimistic because I do have a special place for Green Bay. I just don't see it happening. The Bears, obviously, a lot of work this offseason. What are they going to do with their draft picks? I don't know.
They got the first and I think like the fifth.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm them, they have to really make smart decisions.
Yeah, they've got the first overall pick by way of Carolina, and then they've got the number 9.
Mm-hmm. And if they can flip, honestly, with them, if a team wants to make a move, I'd be willing to deal with that 9.
Yeah,
because you're going to need to retool this entire team. And if you wind up trading Justin Fields, which is getting rumored, and you want to make a run for the kid from Carolina, which listen, I'm going to tell you right now, we saw what happened the last time the Bears took a quarterback from North Carolina.
Yeah.
They got a Maserati, but he did not turn into a Maserati right then and there.
Yeah, that's true. So
I would say buyer beware. Fields, I think, just needs people around him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that bad as he's getting portrayed, but, we'll kind of have to wait and see. But they're going to be watching the Packers and seeing what they do, because with them against Dallas, I believe.
Yes, it is.
That's going to be a tough challenge. That's going to be real tough.
Yep.
Have to wait and see about that.
Then you had the Las Vegas Raiders defeat the Denver Broncos 27-14.
Let's ride into the offseason.
Yeah, and now reportedly Denver might keep Russell Wilson around.
Okay, I'm just going to say it right now. If Russell Wilson comes back, that is going to be such a bad scene.
That's an abusive relationship.
Yeah, like literally, there's no point. Like, obviously, they don't want each other around. They need to separate.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm Denver, I trade him somewhere. I send him to Atlanta. I send him to a team that needs a quarterback. I mean, maybe if you even want to get gutsy, and depending on what Cleveland does, you could try making some moves there and sending him there.
Yeah, good luck.
I got a feeling Deshaun Watson might not be back next season. I'm just going to we'll just say reasons for that.
Could be.
But the Raiders, I think, are going to be the team to watch this offseason, and I will say this, they need to hire Antonio Pierce.
The fact they haven't done it already is a travesty.
Yeah, it is, because he will. I will say this: if they don't hire him, if you have a head coaching vacancy,
He's going to be.
he should be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
He should be.
Yeah.
And if he's not, like I say, in Atlanta, he could do wonders there.
Oh, yeah, he could.
Washington, he would do wonders there as well. And you have to think about some of the other teams. New Orleans, I mean, obviously, I'm going to put the karma out there. They need to make a change. He would do wonders there, because you try telling me any one of those players would try that nonsense on him.
Oh, shit, no.
No, he'd run right on the field, take the fine, and be good. So, like I say, the Raiders need to lock him up, and that's going to be the only thing I care about them for this offseason.
Then you had the Seattle Seahawks defeat the Arizona Cardinals 21-20.
Well, Cinderella ran out.
Fucking costing me from going a perfect week, 4 picks on the weekend. Motherfuckers.
Yeah, no, Seattle, listen, they cave it. They're all just, unfortunately, injuries took their toll on them.
Yeah.
And nothing to sneeze at, though. They fought valiantly. It did not work out their way in a couple games they should have won.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff to be excited about next season for Seattle fans in Arizona. Well, I mean,
Arizona fans, hey, you've got the number 4 overall pick.
yeah, so don't screw it up.
The Kansas City Chiefs defeated the LA Chargers by the final score of 13-12.
Ugly game.
Considering you look at the box score on this game, and you had no Patrick Mahomes. Blaine Gabbert got the start. The leading rusher for Kansas City was LaMichael Perrine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the leading receiver was Mecole Hardman Jr. No Travis Kelce, no Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or if he did play, he didn't catch anything, which would be par for the course these days. So, but you did have, and obviously Easton Stick got the start for the Chargers, but yeah, the LA Chargers couldn't beat the Kansas City backups.
Yeah, no, the Chargers are a hot mess express.
Yep.
Easiest way to say it. Kansas City had nothing to play for, and they still beat you with their third string. Just saying, folks, if you want the temp in the room, that's the temp in the room.
Then you had the LA Rams defeat the San Francisco 49ers 21-20.
Asterisk by this one, because the 49ers did the smartest thing ever.
Sat everybody.
Sat everybody. And the Rams needed this game, too.
Yeah, they did.
So, kudos to the Rams. They showed up for this. I know Puka Nakua got the rookie record for, receiving yards?
Receiving yards, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was the rookie record and the team record. There was something like that.
It was something. Considering him and Cooper Kupp on the same team, that's mind-blowing.
Both healthy.
Yeah. So, obviously, them making the playoffs, that's a big move.
Then the last one we got to talk about before we get to our two teams is the Dallas Cowboys defeated the Washington Commanders 38-10.
Bum, 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 bum. See, kudos to Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't say this often. I know Dre Driven will shoot a line in about this one. Dallas understood the assignment.
Yeah, they did.
They did not mess around.
Christ.
They wanted to make a statement win to the rest of the NFC.
This was close for all of about a quarter.
Mm-hmm. They did what they needed to do. They wanted the NFC East title. They got it. And now they have a home game against Green Bay. That is all they could ask for. They were smart about things.
Yep.
Philly was not.
Oh.
So, Dallas, congratulations. You played very, very well. You understood the temp in the room, and you rose to the challenge.
Yep.
Kudos.
Excuse me. Then we got to get to our two teams. Not much to say about Patriots. They lost to the Jets by the final score of 17-3. Low-scoring game. Both teams suck offensively, but then also there was a fucking blizzard going through New England. But the only thing of note was shout out to the Jets kicker who almost nailed a 49-yard field goal in the fucking snow. Go check out the highlight. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, Jets won. Patriots lost. Patriots have locked up the number 3 overall pick. That's why I was watching the Washington-Dallas game, because if Washington won and we lost, we would have gotten the number 2 overall pick. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, if this was Belichick's last game,
doubt it.
Yeah, like I say, I'm waiting to see the scenario that gets him out of New England. I just don't see any team really enticing except maybe the Chargers. But then again, do you want to try taking on that project at this state? I don't know. I can't see it. But yeah, the season's done for them, and no, just have to wait to see if Aaron Rodgers actually wants to come back. I don't know.
We'll say. And then obviously the Buffalo Bills defeated the Miami Dolphins 21-14, locking up the AFC East.
Well, this game was ugly as hell.
Yep.
I am not sitting here touting too much praise other than Miami should have won this game. They did not.
Mm-hmm.
Injuries, I know, started creeping in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they were also hitting the Bills as well. When Rasul Douglas went down, I thought this game was instantly going to Miami. Yet the gritty performance from Christian Bedford really carried this team, and how Deontay Hardy got that kickback, and really that was the turning point in the game.
Yeah.
Miami should have been on cruise control, shutting this down. I don't know if I necessarily want to say that this is Mike McDaniel not, knowing how to close games, but this kind of felt like it.
Could be.
I'm just saying, like, when you have Tua playing at such a high level, even though he was throwing interceptions,
2 of them,
yeah, which he did not look great in this game.
17 to 27 to 173 yards.
This is a situation that's like, why aren't you just giving the ball to Kane and just letting him run?
Kane 10 for 56 and 1 touchdown.
Because you let the Bills do what the Bills do best.
Hang around.
Josh Allen.
Oh, Jesus, you mean Brett Favre?
Yeah. I mean, seriously, get out the Wrangler jeans.
What the fuck was that one interception? What the fuck was he thinking?
No, I know what he was thinking.
Scramble. Fuck it. Dawson Knox is down there somewhere because we know he ain't thinking about Diggs these days.
Well, Diggs is the thing is Diggs is getting double covered and he wants no part of that. So he's trying to get somebody else to step up. The problem is with the Bills, and I'll be the first one to tell you this, is Diggs you can rely on to get 50 yards a game.
Sometimes.
Easy. No, easy. He's an easy 50. But if you're expecting somebody to match him, it varies. Because certain games, Dawson Knox looks great, and then certain other ones, he's
like this one, three targets, 2 catches, 22 yards.
Yeah, he's atrocious. Dalton Kincaid is shown flashes of brilliance,
right?
But note the key word: flashes.
Yeah.
And I know that Gabe Davis got hurt,
right?
But everybody keeps anointing him as like he's the next coming.
Because he had one good playoff game.
Yeah, he had one great playoff game, and that's been it. He's a solid number 2 at best.
Yeah.
But, I mean, him going down, somebody needed to step up. Shakir was that guy.
6 for 105.
Yeah, and that's what the Bills need is somebody to step up when they are struggling. And especially when Josh is struggling himself. Because what he tried doing is what he goes to best. He heaves it up and hopes somebody's there. And the problem is he thinks he has the arm strength that he can just burn every single defender.
Dude thinks he's the NFL version of Steph Curry.
Yeah, legitimately. Which, I mean, you got to have that bravado to a degree.
Right, but you got to dial it back sometimes.
But you have to be smart about it. Like, if you are in the playoffs, you cannot sit there and take a shot just heaving it into the end zone.
Oh, Christ. Can you imagine if they were playing like a San Francisco?
Oh, they get smoked.
Or they'd get eaten alive.
They get smoked right now. But the thing that he got smart about in the second half, and I'll give Josh all the credit in the world about this, he wasn't throwing that much.
Right.
He started running, which is what he should do. I know he got a strip sack fumble. Listen, that is what it is.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
But it didn't come back to haunt them. But the fact that they put up 14 in the fourth quarter when Miami should have closed this game out,
yeah,
the Dolphins proved they can't close.
Yep.
That was the one takeaway I had. Tua turned into Josh in the final 8 minutes of that game.
Right.
He was just heaving it.
Because he realized at that point, fuck, we're going to lose.
Yeah, and you know what he said? Tyreek, go downfield. I'll just get it to you. He called streaks in Madden.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Bills knew he was going to do it. Because unfortunately, with Waddle out, they don't have another receiver to step up. There is a distinct drop-off if you look at that stat line.
Yeah, so Tyreek Hill, 7 of 82 for 1 touchdown. Then it was Durham Smythe, 3 for 30, no touchdowns. Cedric Wilson Jr., 1 for 24, no touchdowns. River Crackcraft, 1 for 18, no touchdowns. Braxton Berrios, 2 for 9, no touchdowns. Devon Kane, 1 for 5, no touchdowns. Chase Claypool, 1 for 3, no touchdowns. And Julian Hill, 1 for 2, no touchdowns.
Yeah. So they don't have anybody other than that.
Nope.
And that's the problem. So now you have to sit there and look at this team and going into Kansas City for Miami because they did clinch. It's going to be cold. I don't like their chances at all because if you have to get into a shootout with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah, which if you take Travis Kelce out of the equation, you have a chance.
Yeah.
You legitimately have a chance.
Blueprints there.
But then again, on the flip side, if Kansas City, and if I'm Steve Spagnuolo, oh, I think I'm centering everything on Tyreek Hill, and I'm daring you to beat me with Chase Claypool. This is a far cry away from Pittsburgh and Notre Dame.
Yeah, well, it's a far cry from Notre Dame. He wasn't that great in Pittsburgh, either.
Right, unless you talk to certain fans.
Well, yeah.
But that being said, everybody else on this team doesn't worry about you. So if I am Miami, I am very, very frightened because I don't like your chances. And I'm not saying this with my born hatred for the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying this logistically, unless you can get Waddle and Mostert back, you don't have a chance.
Right.
Because Patrick Mahomes and that team is playoff tested and playoff ready.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be ready to make a statement on Sunday, I believe they play. It's Saturday.
Saturday. It's on Peacock.
Yes, because everybody has to go get the streaming service.
What
for
a
it.
fucking flex from Roger Goodell, making the Swifties get Peacock.
Smart man.
Yeah, it's
love him or hate him. He's smart.
Saturday game at 8:00.
And then on the flip side for Buffalo, they have now a home game because they clinched the second seed with this win.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be hosting Pittsburgh. I think that's a very winnable game for them.
Oh, easily.
It should be. Let me put it this way. I think the one thing that Josh needs to do is ball control like he did.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be smart about their offensive decisions. I think Stephon Diggs has a breakout game, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
Yeah,
I know the point spread right now is 9.5, and I don't feel good about that one.
No.
I think it's going to be a difference of 5.
Probably.
If I have to make my own official guess, but I think I do like the Bills in this. And that's when things get interesting the following week.
I mean, I just got to say one thing about Bills fans, and not you, but
Yeah.
other Bills fans, because we know a few of them.
Oh, sure. No, I don't consider. I am a member of Bills Mafia, but I'm not a delusional member
Right.
of Bills Mafia.
And to the delusional ones, like, definitely be happy you won the division and definitely be excited about that. And I want to just say, I'm not saying this as like a bitter Patriots fan. I'm saying this as an NFL fan. Like, congratulations, you did get the division, but you fell ass backwards into the division. You know, I want to know, I yourself, you, Ken M, and Rich did all pick the Buffalo Bills to win this division back in August. Mm-hmm. We all figured you would win this division, but no, you stumbled ass backwards into this division at the literal 11th hour. And I say 11th hour because you were the last game to go on for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing was guaranteed. There was no other scenario where it was, oh yeah, no, you've got the division. You just need to play the game. No, like, you had to win this game to win the division. So kudos to you. But to sit there and go, oh, we're the beasts in the East. Really? You want to sit there and crown yourselves as, oh, we're the best in the East. Okay, technically, yes, by the fact that you have the division, yes. And congratulations, you've won the division 4 years in a row. That's not easy to do in the NFL these days. I realize the Patriots did it for however many years they did it, but you look at the other divisions and other teams not named the... I mean, Christ, look at the NFC East. Mm-hmm. There hasn't been a repeat division winner in like 20-some-odd years. It's an absurd stat. You know, but... to win the division 4 years in a row, kudos to you. To win the division this year, hey, kudos. But remember, you fell ass backwards into this division at the 11th hour when you were sitting there on the ropes. You fired your offensive coordinator and you got on a hot streak. Not every hot streak stays consistent throughout the duration of the season. At some point, you're going to come back down to earth, and that's when you find out if you're legit or if it was just luck.
Well, I think the thing about this is making the change at offense was a puzzling one at the time. I'm going to admit, because the problem this season with the Bills, and listen, I think I'm the only Bills fan to say this, has been McDermott.
Yeah.
Because
you've said it since day one.
Yeah, because McDermott not hiring a defensive coordinator for the season when Leslie Frazier decided to take the sabbatical has been the most crushing point to this team.
Yeah.
Because the offense had been fine until Josh started getting too reckless with the ball. That became the problem. And you know what? Kudos to our new OC, because you know what he's done? He's forced him to call running plays. That's been the biggest change that they've done.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, the defense has been playing better because you know why? They're not as pressured to win games as they were.
Right.
Because when Josh was acting reckless, because Josh bought into his own hype.
Turning the ball over.
I said it. Yeah. He turned the ball over. He got sloppy. And that way I've been saying the Brett Favre comparison for years now.
Yeah.
So I'm funny. It's funny the national media is picking up on it. So whoever's handing it off to him, hey, just give us some credit next time it's on here. Just mention parlay, and I won't say a word about it. But that's the whole point. I said the season is revolved around McDermott and the calls that he's made.
Yeah.
So now it looks like they have somewhat of a balance going in. The Pittsburgh game is going to be the one where Josh has to keep his emotions in check.
Yep.
And McDermott McDermott gets beat by Mason Rudolph. This team should not even be on the field. I'm sorry. I'm just putting it out right now.
The silence on social media from Bills fans will be deafening.
Oh, it has to be. If any Bills fan is talking reckless after that.
Because I like I said, I'm fine. Like, hey, congratulations, you won the division. Definitely celebrate that. But to sit there and go, beasts in the East, we're the best. Like, calm down. Pump the brakes.
No, I just like calling out the receipts, though.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, like I say.
I did it when everybody picked the Chargers to beat the Patriots, in like 2017, 2018, whatever it was, and the Patriots went and handed their asses to them.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, but I mean, for this situation, the Bills need to back up that talk, and that's going to be something they have not done all this time.
Yeah.
So can they do it in the playoffs? Well, we're going to find out on a short week.
Yeah, we will, because the NFL playoffs start this Saturday, January 13th, and the schedule is as follows. The Cleveland Browns will be playing the Houston Texans in Houston. That's at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Then you've got the Miami Dolphins playing the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. That'll be 8 p.m. again on Peacock. For the Sunday games, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo at 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Then you've got the Green Bay Packers playing the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. That'll be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Then you've got the Los Angeles Rams playing the Detroit Lions, 8 o'clock Eastern. That'll be on NBC. And then Monday, January 15th, you've got the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. That'll be at 8:15 p.m. on ESPN, ABC, and ESPN+.
A lot of exciting games this week. Obviously, the season surprising in certain degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we have our picks that we had from the
I do
preseason games.
Yeah, so from the preseason, I pulled up the spreadsheet that I made when we were doing the NFL preview shows. So for the AFC East, hey, pat on the back, we all got that right. Again, 11th hour, but hey, Buffalo Bills. For the AFC South, we all picked the Jacksonville Jaguars. So whoops,
never again.
For the AFC North, we all picked the Cincinnati Bengals, which if Joe Burrow would have been there the full season, it might have happened.
A lot of question marks there if he had a healthy year.
Yep. And then for the AFC West, we all picked the Kansas City Chiefs. So, hey, kudos to us. For the NFC East, we all chose the Philadelphia Eagles, which, I
mean, who saw them doing a choke job?
We've all forgot the old adage. The NFC East hasn't been won by the same team 2 years in a row in like 20 years. For the NFC South, well, we all got it wrong. Ken picked the New Orleans Saints. Rich and myself both picked the Carolina Panthers. For the NFC North, Rich and Ken got that right. They chose the Detroit Lions. I chose the Minnesota Vikings, got that wrong. And for the NFC West, we all got that right with the San Francisco 49ers. And for the playoffs, so Ken got 1, 2, 3 out of the 7 right. He obviously got the Jaguars and Bengals wrong, and then he got 2 of the 3 wildcard teams wrong. He chose the Jets and Patriots, which obviously didn't make it, but he did choose the Pittsburgh Steelers. For myself, I also got 3 of the 7 right, picking the Bills, Chiefs, and Steelers. I did get, much like Ken, the Jaguars, Bengals, Patriots, and Jets wrong. For Rich, he did better than us for the AFC. He got 4 of the 7 right, picking the Bills, Chiefs, Steelers, and Ravens. He did get the Jaguars, Bengals, and Jets wrong. And then for the NFC, Ken, you got 4 of the 7 right, picking the Eagles, Lions, Niners, and Cowboys. So, I mean, you got the Eagles and Cowboys mixed up, but they're still in it.
Still in it.
And you got the Saints, Seahawks, and Vikings wrong. For myself, I got 4 of the 7 right, picking the Eagles, Niners, Cowboys, and Lions. I got the Panthers, Vikings, and Seahawks wrong. Rich did just as well, 4 of 7, going with the Eagles, Lions, Niners, Cowboys right, and the Panthers, Vikings, Seahawks wrong. All of our Super Bowl winners are still intact. Ken, yours and my AFC champions are unfortunately not involved because you chose the Jets to make the AFC championship. I chose the Cincinnati Bengals. They are obviously not in the playoffs. Rich is still in it, though. He chose the Chiefs. And for the NFC, we're all still in that one. The NFC champ, because Ken, you and myself picked the 49ers. Rich picked the Eagles. So in terms of things, I'd say if we're doing brackets, March Madness, Rich is doing the best out of the 3 of us.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait to see how these playoffs go. A lot of great football to be had. You know, like I say, I still think San Francisco is the team to beat.
Absolutely.
And out of the AFC, I mean, at this stage, you would have to say Baltimore.
You would think so, which again would feed into that whole conspiracy with the NFL Super Bowl logo and the colors the last 3 years.
But you also have to watch out for Cleveland. Cleveland's not supposed to be here.
Listen, I think it's going to be Baltimore and San Francisco. Who do I want? Cleveland and Detroit.
Oh, I want the Bills in Detroit. if I have to,
I want Cleveland and Detroit. I want a low-scoring game, and I want it to go near the end of overtime. I want to cause as much chaos as possible.
Oh, there's so many scenarios that can get played out. So definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH pod. The NFL regular season is done. Wild card weekend is about to kick off. How is your team doing? And who's your predictions to win the big game in only a couple short weeks? We're already getting to the Super Bowl talk.
About a month away.
It's crazy to think about. So definitely hit us up. Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You ever wondered what comics Mark from Bale Mai is into? What Zach from Left Behind's favorite MCU movies are? Well, Metalcore Nerds is the show for you. My name is Sean Mott, and here at Metalcore Nerds, we cover the latest things in pop culture, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, DC, AEW, and everything else in between. You can listen to the show every Monday on Adobe Howl at 7 p.m. Eastern, or find it anywhere you find podcasts after it debuts on the radio station.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and there's a lot going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Boy, is there ever.
They're kicking off their Disney Plus streaming shows with one that definitely has a lot of fans talking as we're heading into premiere night, and that is Echo.
Yes.
Coming out of the Hawkeye show, the long-standing because she debuted in 1998.
Wow, really?
In the comics.
Okay.
Yep. So I would say the long-standing Daredevil figure is now making the break into her own show. Alkaya Cox is playing the title character, Maya Lopez, and according to the IMDb preface, quote, Maya Lopez must face her past, reconnect with her Native American roots, and embrace the meaning of family and community if she ever hopes to move forward, end quote.
Okay.
So obviously this show has a lot of moving parts involved with it. We do know Vincent D'Onofrio is reprising the role of Wilson Fisk, a.k.a. Kingpin, in this.
Okay.
We have seen screenshots of one Charlie Cox, a.k.a. Matt Murdock, Daredevil, in this as well.
Yup.
And for being 5 episodes, there's a lot of question marks pertaining to the series.
Yeah.
Now, we had seen the Echo in Hawkeye.
Yep.
When that came out, made a very big splash in a short amount of time.
Yep.
The last thing we knew is she came to the truth about what happened with her father and decided to go shoot Kingpin in the face. So I would say it's a spoiler, but it's been out for a while.
It's been out for at least over a year now.
Yes. So that being said, Pat, going into the series, what is your expectations for this? What is the vibe that you're kind of getting into? What would you recommend this to a viewer about?
I'm recommending this if you were obviously a fan of the Netflix show, Marvel shows. You know, you didn't really dabble into the mainline MCU stuff all that much because right now I don't think it's going to play too much into the overall story of the MCU. So I wouldn't expect anything from like, you know, a Captain America to show up or like a Spider-Man or like anything like that. But like down the road, I feel like this might have some implications. Maybe we'll see. But no, I'm excited for this just because we're finally going to get a return to full-fledged Daredevil and such and Kingpin because we haven't seen those characters in quite some time. You know, and so to see them back in the role, obviously, you know, Wilson Fisk showed up in the Hawkeye for a brief moment, you know, and then obviously you had, or did he show up in Hawkeye? I don't know. I feel like he showed up at some point.
Yeah, Vincent, they made the crossover in Hawkeye. Just Charlie Cox showed up in Daredevil as in She-Hulk.
He showed up in She-Hulk, and then he also made the one scene appearance in Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3. You know, so we haven't gotten necessarily the full tilt re-exposure to the characters, you know, like we might have wanted, like myself. But to get the characters back, it's going to be awesome. And like I said, if you want to, if you're looking to check this out, you don't really need to know much going into it because I feel like, you know, what they did with Hawkeye wasn't necessarily the full intro. It was just the kind of like soft pilot, if you will. It's the, hey, we're introducing the character here, but it's going to get their own show, you know, down the road. And obviously it did because here we are.
Well, I think the main point that I'm so excited about this show is this is, in my opinion, the continuation of the Netflix Defenders universe.
right now, yeah.
Now into the Disney Plus area.
Until we start seeing the episodes and they start like actually divulging information yet to be seen.
Mm-hmm. But you have to think about the impact that the street level superheroes made.
Right.
And especially at the time when the MCU was more focused on the Avengers family, which is great.
And the films.
Yeah, the films. That's what I say. You saw the Avengers focus there.
Yeah.
But on the Netflix shows, it was all street level.
Yeah.
It was Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher.
Yeah.
And then they did the street level Defenders too, which some were more hit than others.
Yeah,
But Daredevil set that benchmark so high that anything coming out of that is what fans are gravitating towards most, in my opinion.
Because, I agree.
Because the show had always just been consistently on point.
Yeah.
So now to see this character, which has been so synonymous with Daredevil, come into the MCU and really make a point in the Hawkeye series and almost be the show stealer of that.
Yeah, I would agree.
To now picking up for 5 episodes, which is not a lot to go off of. So it's going to be kind of a question of what they want to do as far as storyline wise.
Right.
Because it's still very up in the air.
Well, and I wonder if, how big a presence is Daredevil going to have in this? Obviously Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is going to have a major focus in this, considering Kingpin is Maya Lopez's father. Mm-hmm. I can't help but wonder if this is going to be a possible lead into the Daredevil show they're doing.
I have to imagine it has to be.
That this is almost like what they did with the Kingdom Hearts game, where like they did that Kingdom Hearts 0.2 whatever that was like going to be at the start of Kingdom Hearts 3, but they decided to cut it out and make it its own thing. Obviously not an equal comparison, but like a similar thing of like, we were going to do this thing. We were thinking about doing this with Daredevil, but hey, this would work on its own.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, I think, like I say, from when I read the IMDb description there.
Yeah.
Like I say, they're being very...
It's very vague.
Vague. And I know that that's for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they're not even alluding to anything with the Kingpin.
Well, and we know that the review embargo hasn't dropped yet, which under normal circumstances would be cause for concern. Anytime you get to like the day a project comes out, film, movie, TV, and the review embargo hasn't dropped yet, usually 9 times out of 10, that's a cause for concern. But in this instance, I think it makes sense because all of the episodes are dropping at once.
Some did drop though.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was like a social
late night.
Maybe it was like a social media embargo is up, but not like the full review embargo.
You could say that because I know our good friend Sean from Metalcore Nerds,
right,
did one he's already posted about it and singing rave reviews.
Okay.
And I think that's the one thing too. They really want to keep it tight-lipped because it's spoiler free,
right?
But still, the majority of people that I've caught online talking about this, and like I say, it's only been a few hours since this was uplifted,
right?
Everybody's had some really good things to say about it and saying just a lot of the same themes,
right?
Which is the Netflix show, the MA feel, which is something the MCU needs.
And there's a space for it.
Oh, there absolutely is. Because not everything can be geared towards the pop culture audience, much like not everything in the Marvel Comics universe is geared towards pop culture,
right?
Too.
I mean, and listen, I know that there are going to be parents whose kids are looking at them, I want to watch it. It's the new Marvel show. It's going to be TVMA. Watch it before you show your kids. And if you want to make sure your kids don't get a hold of it and watch it without you having previewed it, make sure it's cool for them to watch. Because I remember back in the day when Saving Private Ryan came out, everyone at school went and saw Saving Private Ryan. And I wanted to go see Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, hey, we got to go watch and make sure this is okay for you as a young child to go watch and see before we let you go see this. Mm-hmm. And looking back, because I saw it years later, they obviously didn't let me go see it. And then I was really bummed about it, but I got over it quickly. But like years later, I finally saw the movie, and based off the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan alone, I'm like, no, yeah, I understand why they didn't let me see this as a kid. But to the parents who have kids that might want to see this, watch it before you let your kids see it, and so you make sure they don't like sneakily watch it before you give them the okay. There are parental rating settings on your Disney Plus for a reason.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what they need to do for this, because obviously I think they want to set a tone for the street level heroes.
Yeah.
And especially with Daredevil having such a following and such, a spotlight on it for the amazing work that was done with
and a big fandom.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, you don't have a lot of room for error, which is kind of weird to say.
No, you don't.
But it's true, though, because you think about Marvel's most consistent comic over the past few years has been the Daredevil series.
Yeah.
No matter who's been a part of it.
Yeah.
And if you've gone through the creative teams that have left their marks there. Like, it just, everybody has their own story they tell.
Right.
So then you have the hype from the comic universe coming in with the pop culture audience that knows it from Netflix. And that's what I say. When you have this exposure with Echo, you're going to have a lot of people tuning in to check this out. Obviously, for her being the first Native American superhero.
Yeah, I believe so.
And the MCU.
On live action.
Yes. And also the first deaf
Yes.
character in the MCU.
Yes.
That we have in this situation as well, too. So there's a lot of people that are going to be tuning in to see it. And obviously with the praise that came out of the Hawkeye run,
Yeah.
that now is going to have a ton of eyes on it. I think this is just going to be nothing but a big win going
Oh, it's going to
in.
be awesome.
Well, I think that they have to do the smart move of keeping it grounded, keeping it very street level, which I think they're going to from what we've seen from the trailers.
This to me, this isn't going to be like the Netflix shows where they mention what did they call it? The incident or whatever, like the Attack on New York, where they like to drop the incident every other fucking scene.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing this.
No, they're not. You're not going to hear too much about anything. But
Watch them actually mention the celestial that came out of the Earth, like the South Pole or whatever the fuck it was in Eternals. Like the one everyone's been wondering, have they mentioned it? Will they mention it? Are they just ignoring it? Watch this be the one time where they actually mention it.
Yeah, no, I agree with
that'd be hysterical.
It's going to be an interesting play about how they want to do this.
Right.
And I think that this is one that is causing so much excitement for it. And like I said, I touched upon, the first deaf lead character in the MCU, the first Native American lead actress in the MCU. Yeah. Like I say, you have so many elements to make Echo great.
Right.
And they're doing such a great job with Akaya Cox playing the role that, when you start going into the abilities of what Echo can do, which is more or less on the same vein as Taskmaster to a degree,
right?
But a little differently, just about the picking up on reflexes and being able to adapt them. It's a very cool scenario that's going to play out just with 5 episodes. I'm just wondering how much they're going to be able to get in.
And it's going to be interesting to see, just because we're going to go into a bit of a dry spell for what we know right now for Marvel, and I'm talking proper, Disney Marvel. I'm not talking Sony bullshit or any of that nonsense, because God help us. Because the next thing that comes out for the actual MCU is Deadpool, which doesn't come out until, it's supposed to come out in July of this year. We'll see if that actually sticks. But then you've also got, for the TV shows, you've got, what is it? You've got X-Men 97 supposed to come out sometime this year, which we just don't have a date for that. You've got Agatha Coven of Chaos, which is supposed to come out sometime this year. And then you've got some other stuff on the prospect, but like we haven't heard anything firm. So of firm stuff we know, it's Deadpool, and that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think the fans are really going to gravitate towards this. And especially if you've ever read Echo's early runs in the comic.
Right.
Like I say, the Daredevil story where she originated from, Parts of a Whole, is a great series. I know we're going to be talking about on Nerd Initiative's Turn a Page this week.
Right.
And where you go from her there with her in the MCU is an interesting path. I don't even want to go into spoilers about that.
Right.
But if you know anything about the character, her journey in the comics universe is very vast.
I know if you have the Marvel Unlimited app, you can search the character and you can find practically every issue the character's been in.
Yeah.
But I know they are featuring on the homepage of the Marvel Unlimited app starting points Echo must reads. And if you click and start here, they give you Daredevil and Echo team up. Issue number 1 from 2023 was on June 14th, 2023. They also give you the Marvel Voices Infinity comic with Echo, which is issue number 64 from August 16th of last year. They give Who is Daredevil Infinity comic issue from 2022 from October 6th of 2022. And then they give Who is Kingpin Infinity comic from 2024.
Yeah.
So definitely some stuff if you're thinking about reading some comics and maybe getting a feel for what the show might be about. There are some ones for you.
Yeah, no, but I definitely, like I say, I recommend the one from 1998, the Marvel Knights one.
Right.
Because that whole run is a vastly underrated one, in my opinion, for Daredevil comics. Because, like I say, right now, in this day and age, Marvel's Daredevil has been like their benchmark. It's been in almost like neck and neck with DC's Nightwing.
Yes.
About like you go to it, the best creative teams are on it. They carve their own path, and they really leave a lasting impression.
Right.
And especially with what David Mack and Joe Quesada did during this time too. Like I say, it's a great story about like how they really elevated Daredevil at that time, and Echo played such a big part, and especially with the connection with the Kingpin, as you see how the story plays out, and then now where she goes from here. I wonder if they're going to follow the same suit as the comics, but we'll talk about that next week, though,
right?
Because I don't want to spoil too much. Because I just say the things I'm looking forward to with this: street level superheroes are back.
Yes,
Kingpin is back, and I'm just looking for that gritty crime drama that. Anytime you talk the Kingpin, that's what you get.
I mean, we've seen the Kingpin in a number of instances, and not once have we seen a real crime syndicate set up. I would love to see some sort of crime syndicate, crime families, whatever else. If we could get like a Hammerhead to show up or something like that, I'm all for it.
If they could slowly start putting together the pieces for Gang War, I would be all in about that.
Let's go.
And I think that you can obviously do that with the talented actors that you have involved with this show. You're definitely going to make some noise, and I think this is going to be a big win for fans, so I'm excited to see it, and definitely we'll be recapping it on next week's show. So, Pat, that being said, final thoughts on Echo Preview?
Super excited for it. I'm excited, that it's dropping all at once. I'm excited it's not dropping at 3 a.m. fucking Eastern like Netflix used to do. Mm-hmm. God, that was obnoxious. But no, it's excited to check it out. Excited to get Kingpin back, Daredevil back, and see where we go. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's like a surprise cameo from one of the other Netflix heroes.
Well, that's one thing you got to watch for is at the end of the final episode when it drops, because it is debuting on January 9th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Disney+. You're definitely going to have to wait around for bonus credit. And I have a full feeling we're going to see somebody get mentioned.
Probably.
But who? I don't know. That's what we throw up for debate, folks. So definitely hit us with your thoughts on Echo from Marvel Studios hitting Disney+. Are you excited for it? Or are you not? What are you expecting from the show? And let's talk about it. And then after the episodes drop, remember we got a little 72-hour social media embargo, but we're more than happy to answer some DMs about that as well. And expect a full recap on next week's ODPH. So that being said, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder, and you better listen to the ODPH podcast, or I'm coming for you, and Batman is coming for you.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what you got?
Got a couple things to talk about. Just the one sports thing, which is obviously the local minute. Looking at the standings for the Federal Prospects Hockey League, the Binghamton Black Bears still sitting in first place of the Empire Division. 17 wins, 2 losses, 5 losses in overtime. And then you've got no wins in overtime, but they do have a win in shootout. They're first place with 58 points. Motor City in second place with 43. Danbury in third place with 39, Watertown in fourth with 25, and fifth place is Elmira with 19. And correct myself in case I spoke wrong, Binghamton's in first with 58. Looking at their schedule from this past week, they had just the one game. It was a home game on Saturday, January 6th, won by the final score of 8-1.
Jeez.
They're on the road this weekend. Got 2 games. Friday, January 12th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. They are playing the Danbury Hat Tricks. Then they're playing Danbury again on Saturday, January 13th, 7 o'clock Eastern. That is on the road. They're back home, though, Friday, January 19th, 7 o'clock Eastern. Against who? Danbury. For more tickets, information, all that good stuff, go to binghamtonblackbears.com. And we're going to talk a little bit of entertainment news because we did have some breaking news today as we record. Some exciting breaking news, I would say. Reading from the article on StarWars.com, so they don't get more official than that, folks.
Yes.
Says, quote, The Mandalorian and Grogu are embarking on a new adventure to movie theaters. Directed by Jon Favreau and produced by Favreau, Kathleen Kennedy, and Dave Filoni. The Mandalorian and Grogu will go into production in 2024. Quote, I have loved telling stories set in the rich world that George Lucas created, said Favreau. The prospect of bringing the Mandalorian and his apprentice, Grogu, to the big screen is extremely exciting, close quote. Quote, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have ushered into Star Wars 2 new beloved characters, and this new story is a perfect fit for the big screen, added Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm. The Mandalorian and Grogu will lead Lucasfilm's ongoing feature development slate, including films helmed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, James Mangold, and Dave Filoni, who is currently developing Ahsoka Season 2 among those in the works. This is the way, close quote. Snuck in 2 announcements in this press
I was going to
release.
say, how excited are you for this?
Well, I'm very excited. One, it's been rumored for a while The Mandalorian was going to get a final season movie. And, release, which I know some folks would say, oh, well, why fix what ain't broke? Stick TV. And that's not wrong. But I feel like with where they're building, which for all intents and purposes seems to be they're doing Heir to the Empire, which is a story that you cannot do for small screen in terms of breadth and scope and just everything that entails with that's meant for big screen. It's going to be box office. And it don't matter if Dave or Jon Favreau are writing. It's going to be amazing either way. It's going to be awesome to see. It's a story and scenes that are too big for the small screen.
Yeah, no, this is going to be nothing but big wins. Long rumored, but finally get confirmation. Yeah. And then Ahsoka season 2, like I said.
I mean, that's not a surprise, given how the first season ended, we figured.
Right, but, the movie, we thought everything might be coming to an end there. So it is exciting to hear that we still have more Ahsoka coming.
Yeah, but sneaking it in at the end of the press release, that's hilarious.
Brilliant.
Yep.
And then let's get into the comic picks this week because there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there is. So I got a couple of things. The first of which is from DC. You've got Action Comics issue number 1061 from Jason Aaron. This one reads, The Wizard Bizarro. Jason Aaron writes Superman for the very first time, teaming up with all-star artist John Timms to present a startling new vision of the Man of Steel's strangest foe. When Superman's doppelganger discovers a dark secret about himself, it unleashes the most dangerous version of Bizarro the world has ever seen. Ooh, that sounds real interesting. Definitely going to have to give that a read. And then from the folks over at Marvel, got two of them. First of which is Wolverine issue number 41 from Benjamin Percy.
Yes.
Sabretooth War Part 1. This one reads, Sabretooth War begins here. The most violent Wolverine story ever told. Boy, that's saying something.
It is.
Get ready for the showdown to end all showdowns. Wolverine versus Sabretooth. It's been years since these heavy hitters have crossed paths in the Marvel Universe, but as Krakoa falls, so rises Sabretooth, and he's out for revenge. They threw Victor Creed in the pit, but he's free and wielding an army of Sabretooths. Will prove once and for all why he is Logan's ultimate nemesis. Co-written by literary powerhouses Benjamin Percy and Victor Laval, and drawn by artistic dynamos Corey Smith and Jeff Shaw. Don't miss the inaugural issue of this multi-shipping saga leading up to the landmark issue number 50. That's going to be nuts.
Ben Percy has done no wrong on his run with Wolverine, and the fact that they're touting this is going to be the bloodiest thing ever.
That's saying something.
That's saying a lot.
And lastly, certainly not leastly, Star Wars issue number 42 from who?
Charles Soule.
Charles Soule. This one is a part of the Sith and the Skywalker storyline they got going. It says, Sith Rising. Luke Skywalker knows his destiny is leading him toward a confrontation with Darth Vader. Vader is a Dark Lord of the Sith, and Luke is barely even a Jedi. To have any chance at survival, Luke must find a way to train himself in the battle techniques he will soon face. He must find another Sith. Always two, there are no more, no less. My ass.
Charles Soule doing Star Wars, this is going to be a must pick up.
Absolutely.
And for me this week, stacked lineup. I feel like I say that all the time, but that's how great comics are. Coming out from DC Comics, one of my favorite stories out right now. Batman and Robin number 5.
Ooh, okay.
So this is one Joshua Williamson has been penning. Nikolai Jimenez, which I apologize if I messed the name up, is stepping in for art duties from Simone Di Meo for this issue. And this has been a crazy story because obviously there's a lot going on with Man-Bat, which this is not really a spoiler.
Right.
But he was revealed to be involved with the first kind of story arc here. Obviously, there's more going on with this case and where their investigation is now leading them. You're not going to be ready for the last page. I'm just going to say that right now because the issue is out today as we record.
Hey.
So I can speak a little bit about it, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't picked up this story, it's a great one, and it's a nice change of pace, in my opinion, from what you see with the other Bat books right now, because there's a lot of the father-son dynamic going on with Bruce and Damian here. But that last page is definitely going to get some fans talking. So you definitely want to keep an eye out for that. Comixology Originals, Nice Jewish Boys number 3. So this has been the crime story that's been going on by Neil Klein and John Broglia. Definitely one that's got a lot of emotion behind it. The story is getting deeper and deeper about what is going on with Jake Levin. And just, there is no easy way out for him. As we see, get a little more backstory about what's going on with a noteworthy character of this series, but it's definitely one that if you've been checking the series out, and I think it has I think you should, because it's definitely one that's a very heavy crime-oriented one, and if you like crime stories, this is a great one, because it really ties in with a lot of emotion. This is a solid pickup this week. Over from Marvel, too, I mean, I was going to say Wolverine War is definitely at the top of my list. And also Ultimate Spider-Man is now coming back. So this is going to be the one. Jonathan Hickman, Marco Cicchetto. This is one, fans. I mean, I have circled on my pull list. So I definitely am excited to go check this out. Also, Rise of the Powers of 10. So obviously this is the companion piece, like we said, Fall of the House of X. The end of the Krakoan era is definitely taking place. So Marvel's got a big week going on. Image Comics, Skybound Entertainment, Transformers #4. What can you say? It's Daniel Warren Johnson doing Daniel Warren Johnson things. Enough said. Can't wait to check this one out. Also, returning. This has been a while since we've seen this. Deep Cuts, #4.
Ooh.
So this is a story by Kyle Higgins and Joe Clark about the history of jazz in different decades. So now we're in the 1950s and it's New York City. So very interested to go check this out. If you haven't checked it out, they're all self-contained stories through different decades.
Okay.
And it's a cool story if you want to check out something different from your normal superhero stuff.
Nice.
Because it's just all about the history of jazz and through certain characters' eyes. Also, Midlife, How to Be a Hero at 50, Brian Buccellato, Stefan Simone. One of my favorite series out right now. Definitely, I can't wait to go check that out. If you haven't seen it, it's not your average superhero story, and that's perfectly fine to say.
Okay.
And then last but not least, from Dark Horse Comics, this is one that definitely has caught my attention, and I've been I was blown away by the first issue. Can't wait to check out the second one. Masterpiece #2, Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Malevich. We talked about Daredevil earlier. Their run, stuff of legend. This is picking up after a very, very solid first issue. Can't wait to see where the story of Emma and the family business goes from here.
Right.
And as we say, if you're looking for more comic recommendations, odphpodcast.com. Parlay Points is always dropping on Wednesdays. And nerdinitiative.com starting Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every half hour on the half hour until we run out from the bullpen. Got a lot of solid picks this week. And definitely make sure you're going out and supporting your favorite LCS wherever you are at, because it does mean a lot to go support small business. So that being said, we'll keep it very short and very sweet this week. For anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. That's it for this edition. So for the one and only Padawan J,
fuck the Astros.
I'm your host, Ken. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. 'Cause anyone who's worth a damn would be worth way more than a picture could ever show. You could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Don't know that I believe in the old time fable. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know.